In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the harmonic balancer on this Chevy Silverado 2500 with a 6.0 liter engine. Let's install this brand new TRQ part. At the front of the engine, you'll see the belt routing. The tensioner will sit on the far passenger side. So it's going to have a deep 15 millimeter or a longer 15 millimeter headed bolt here that you can put a socket on and pull clockwise. Once you pull clockwise, you'll see that it releases tension. And then once tension has been removed, you should be able to grab the belt off of really anything you can reach, pop it off, and then let go of it, release tension, or release the tool off of the tensioner. And that should allow you to remove your belt off of your pulleys so we can do the job. At this point, just so that the belt doesn't get in my way, I'm gonna pull it off. It fell off of basically every pulley anyway, so just take it off. We'll put it back on later. I'll show you exactly how. I chose to go from underneath for the rest of this job. You can probably do it from up top, but in my opinion, it's easier from here. So I'm just gonna remove this splash shield at the front, 4 15 millimeter bolts. On the last one, hold it, take the bolt out, drop the shield, and there is everything we need to access. Use a 24 millimeter socket and stick it right on the crank bolt right here. Now you can take a pry bar and gently and slowly push out on the belt as you spin the engine over, and that should hopefully make it so that it basically slips off of its grooves as you spin it, and that'll allow the belt to walk off. There we go. That just lost tension because it's no longer sitting where it needs to be. There's the belt. Now we have to remove or break free that harmonic balancer or crank bolt, and I'm going to use a 24 millimeter socket. I have this right angle impact that will hopefully be able to do the job. Get it in here, get that socket seated. Okay, looks like that worked. Now, a lot of times these will be very stuck in here, and if you cannot get this bolt out, which as you can see is fairly large, what you can do is you can heat up the tip of it a little bit and then wait about a minute. That should let the heat travel through the bolt onto the threads. That'll warm up the crankshaft, expand it hopefully, and then you can hopefully take it out. If that still doesn't work and you can't fit a more powerful air tool or electric tool on it, you're gonna have to remove the fan shroud, fan and everything to make space so you can actually fit a bigger tool on there. There are other options that you can do, but those are the main ones. Now grab onto the harmonic balancer, try to wiggle it off. It's not pressed on, but sometimes it does get stuck from rust buildup over time, corrosion. Since this is not working at all, it's not even budging, before I try to use a puller, I'm going to very, very carefully try to stick a small pry bar here just to give it a little bit of a push. Be very careful if you do this. Your oil pump is right back here. This is the front timing cover. If you break this, you're in for a big repair. That's not budging at all, so it looks like we have to use a puller. Now that the bolt is out, I'm going to use a puller, and you're going to want a special 3-jaw harmonic balancer puller. Looks like this, and it basically hooks onto the 3 areas on the balancer, allows you to hold it with a wrench here while you spin that bolt, and that should allow you to break it free and pull it off of the crankshaft. Oh, there we go. I think that was it. Yep, it's moving. Take that off. Reach for it, pull it away. There we go. The puller should be able to slide off now. And you should be able to wiggle this harmonic balancer right through here and take it right out. Now you're going to want to bring the new harmonic balancer up in position, almost. Stick your installer tool through it so they can go in at the same time, just like this, just because of the limited space here. Slide this on slightly, make sure it's sitting as evenly as possible. Get your installer threaded onto the crankshaft. You will need this special installer, otherwise you cannot press this harmonic balancer in. I'm going to thread it on all the way. I'm going to grab some pliers and just quickly snug this up just a little bit so it can actually be secured on there. I'm going to grab the rest of my installer, which is basically just this large nut with a washer on it that has bearings. The bearings on this washer will allow you to thread on the nut and press this on without basically destroying the surface, and bearings will allow for the nut to pivot around. So just bottom this out, grab whatever wrench fits on your harmonic balancer installer and tighten it up. Oh, right there. That just got snug. So I'm going to give it one more little turn. Yep, that's bottomed out for sure. So I'm going to remove my tool. There we go, loosen that up. And now you can remove your tool. And remove this. Just grab it with the pliers. Twist it. That should break it free. It should not be very tight. Pull it out from the crankshaft. Okay, take that out. Now with this seated in place, install the bolt. I'm reinstalling the original bolt, and the instructions want you to put in the original bolt that you took out, tighten it to 240 foot-pounds to make sure everything is seated. Then take this bolt out, throw it out, install a new one. Then the proper torque spec and sequence for a brand new bolt will be 110 foot-pounds. Loosen it up 360 degrees, then torque it again to 59 foot-pounds, and then an additional 125 degrees after that 59 foot-pounds. However, I do not have a new bolt right now, so for the purposes of this video, I'm reusing my original bolt. And I also don't have a way to torque this, and to be honest, in most cases, it will be difficult to torque this. So I'm just going to tighten it really tight with my air impact, and that should get it fairly close. Once again, if you have a new bolt, you want to follow that torque spec. If you are reusing your original bolt, just make it nice and tight. If you follow that torque spec, you could actually break the bolt, as they do stretch a little bit over time. Okay, that should be pretty tight right there. Let's install the AC belt. I'm going to put it on the harmonic balancer first, just because it has to go all the way in the back there. And also, well, I'll show you in a second why. If it's already set over here, it is more likely to easily fall into its grooves on the compressor. Okay, so I'm going to line it up like that. It's lined up on the harmonic balancer side. Now we just have to spin the engine over and guide it on. Stick your long ratchet or breaker bar, whatever you're using, on there. And let's slowly guide this in place. Now the trick here is we're going to have to guide it on the bottom so it can slip on, but then we have to hold it on the top, otherwise it'll slip off of the harmonic balancer as we spin it. So it'll be kind of a two-in-one process here. Let's install the shield. I have one bolt ready, so I can put it in here. Don't tighten it yet, but just snug it up so I can hold the shield. Now you can install the other ones. With all of them in, let's snug them up. These are just holding on a plastic shield, so So don't over tighten them. If you do, it'll actually crack the plastic, which it looks like it was already done here and here. So I'm gonna try and be careful. And there we go. It's time to put the belt on. I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm gonna feed it on the other side of this fan because, well, that's how it goes. And I'm gonna put it around the harmonic balancer first. It's very important that it sits in all of the ribs there on the pulley. And then once you're sure it's seated, put it around the water pump. I'm holding it with one hand at the top, by the way, at the same time. So I'll put it around the water pump, then it goes down on the power steering. Just like so, then up and around the alternator, underneath this idler, and then on the tensioner. However, I'm going to take it off of the alternator, put it on the tensioner instead, and hold it up here because sliding it over the alternator while I'm trying to release tension will be a lot easier than trying to pull it over the tensioner. So, actually I might even just do this because when you try to slide it on a flat pulley, it tends to go on a little bit easier. So, I'm gonna let go slowly so it doesn't pop off. Looks like it's still on, that's good. I'm gonna grab my 15mm ratchet. Let's get that belt on. Okay, with my tool on there, I'm gonna pull up on it. That's gonna release tension. Grab the belt, slip it underneath this idler. Now before I let go, I'm going to visually inspect everything, double check that it's still seated, and it looks like it is. It's perfectly seated on everything. Maybe a little bit too far on this water pump here. That's all right, it's not off, but looks like the harmonic balancer, power steering, everything is perfect, so I'm good to go. When you turn on the engine for the first time, inspect it. So turn it on, let it run for 2 to 3 seconds, shut it off, inspect the belt, because if it is off one rib on any of these pulleys, it can actually fly off and do some other damage while it's basically flying off of these. So you want to make sure that it's seated. Other than that, turn on the engine, let it run, make sure it's good.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.